Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we have got, well, it looks like a miracle puzzle, doesn't it? It's called Moderation. It's by Michael Lefkowitz, who you may know better as Juggler, for he sometimes goes by that pseudonym when constructing Sudoku. A very short rule set and just a bonkers grid. Just a bonkers grid. In fact, rarely for the channel, should we just look at the rules of this together at the start? And then we could do birthdays after that. But, okay, so these are the rules of the puzzle. We have got place the digits 1 to 6, once each in every row and column. So it's a Latin square rule. You can see there are no 2x3 rectangles today to obey any rules about. So we just have to put the digits 1 to 6 in every row and every column once each. Every cell has exactly 2 orthogonal neighbours that differ from it by at least 3. So if this was a 2, orthogonal neighbours means sort of in the cardinal directions, north, south, east and west, cells that share an edge rather than a vertex with this cell. So in those 4 cells, 2 of the digits would have to be 5 or 6, and the other digits would have to not be 5 or 6, I think, is what that means. Exactly 2 of these 4 digits have to be at least 3 different. I mean, it doesn't feel like the strongest criteria, does it? And then there's only one other rule. On the grey line, which is not the longest line ever, one cell is the sum of the other 2. It doesn't even say that. It's not even an arrow. So you don't even know one of the ends is the biggest one. That one could be the sum of those 2. And hang on, no, that is all the rules. It's just weird. Isn't that fantastic though? That it's you have to have a peculiar brain to think about things like this. Anyway, this is what Michael's come up with. Now, perhaps the most remarkable thing about this is not just how many recommendations we've had to have a go at it, which is several, but it's also that on Logic Masters, it only has 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty. So apparently this is not terribly difficult. Which is great. We'll see. It's sort of great because this is my second video today. We'll come back to Michael's puzzle in a moment, but let me just trot through some other things that are going on. This is actually the second Cracking the Cryptic video, at least, because if you watch Minute Cryptic and Wordle in a Minute, there may have even been more than that. But on Fridays, we do our Cryptic Crossword Masterclasses. So I did have the great pleasure of doing battle with James McGackie this morning, who set today's Times crossword. It was a wonderful, wonderful puzzle. Challenging, as they usually are on Fridays. But if you're into cryptic crossword solving at all, you might enjoy that video. I will try and remember to put a link to it on the screen. I've been busy this morning. I also scheduled the Blueprint stream for Monday evening at 10 p.m. So we'd love to have your company for that. If you've been interested in our exploration of that extraordinary game, it will continue hopefully on Monday. And then the next thing is that we are closing in now on the 1st of April. And on the 1st of April, we have a brand new competition coming on Patreon. It's a Sandra&Nala themed Sudoku hunt. Well, no, Sandra&Nala are the constructors of the puzzles in the hunt, and they're all Fog of War. So I know lots of you, like me, enjoy Fog of War Sudokus. So there is going to be a great number of those available 4 p.m. UK time on the 1st of April. So do join us on Patreon if you're interested in that. And then I've got 2 birthdays to do today. Let me look at my list of birthdays. Adrian in New South Wales has turned a secret age today. This puzzle probably doesn't involve the secret, but the secret, of course, being 45, the sum of the numbers 1 to 9. And Adrian, I know it's your birthday because Lauren and Brad wanted to wish you many happy returns. You're a civil engineer, and I think they're giving you a Patreon subscription for your birthday. That's the best present, frankly. So enjoy that. Many happy returns. I hope the chocolate cake is fantastic, of course. Today, I'm very well iced. And then next birthday is for Cooper, who is also known as C.T. Barlow, apparently. That is, I'm assured, an in-joke that will mean something to you, Cooper. These birthday wishes come from Hayley, and who tells me that you watch regularly. I hope that's right. I hope this makes sense to you. You know who you are, and I hope that you get some chocolate cake today. And it is, well, the ratio of cake to icing should be 1-to-1, of course. That is where we're agreed. Now, I am delighted to tell you that's all the birthdays. That the farmer who, during my crossword video, seemed intent on making the most extraordinary amount of noise cutting down or cutting logs up or something, has stopped doing that. So there is a danger we might get mavericked and get flown past by a small aircraft, but hopefully there will be less chainsawing in the background. And now let's have a look at moderation by Michael Lefkowitz. We've done the rules, so all that remains to be said is do have a go yourselves. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Right, what on earth do we do here? So every cell, do we start with the corners then? Every cell has exactly 2 orthogonal neighbours that differ from it by at least 3. So in the corner, if we look at that cell, those 2 have to be different from the green cell by at least 3, because there are only 2 orthogonal neighbours for the green cell. So that must be true for all of the corners. So if the corner was a 1, these 2 digits would be 4, 5, or 6. This is a weird rule. It doesn't do anything. 4, 5, or 6. If it's a 2, 5 or 6. If it's a 3, 6. If it's a 4, 1 in both of them. If it's a 5, 1 or 2. And if it's a 6, 1, 2 or 3. Every cell has exactly 2 orthogonal neighbours. So whatever this... So, I mean, if this was a 1 or a 6 in the corner, it would have so much flexibility in the purples. So maybe it has to be a 3 or a 4 in the corner then. I don't understand why it would need to be at all. If it was a 3 or a 4, and let's put 4 in, because otherwise we'll get the celebration, which we certainly don't deserve. If it was a 4 in the corner, there's only 1 digit, I think, that's 3 different at least from the digit 4. So we'd have to put 1s into the 2 purples. But then the 1s we've established are very flexible. They can be next to 4s, 5s, or 6s. Oh, and I'm not doing this right, am I? I know I'm not. I'm not having a very clever thought at all. So how are you meant to... How can this be 2 stars? It's not... You can't even do anything. Oh, it can't be the grey... It can't be the grey line, can it? 1 cell is the sum of the other. I mean, that could be anything. It could be 1 plus 1 equals 2. Or it could be 3 plus 3 equals 6. It must be to do with 4s and 3s somehow, mustn't it? Because they're the most restricted digits. Every time you put a 4 or a 3 in the puzzle, you have to put... I can only think of one of them, otherwise I'm getting confused in my head. Let's just think about 3s for a moment. If you put a 3 in the puzzle, Sudoku or Latin square rules will... So let's say that was a 3. You must put 2 6s around it, because that's what the rules say. But you couldn't put 2 6s in the same row or in the same column. So what you're going to do, whenever you place a 3, is you're going to put a 6 in one of the two orthogonal neighbours vertically and one of the two orthogonal neighbours horizontally. Of course, if the 3 was on the perimeter, there might only be one of those available, and you would have to put the 6 in those positions. But okay, so does that mean that the 3's... So every 3 is tied to 2 6's orthogonally. That's just true, isn't it? And there are 6 3's to put in the grid. And there are only 6 6's available. So every 6 must be connected to every 3. Otherwise you would run out of necessary 6 connections for each 3 in the grid. So does that mean that the 3... I'm wondering if we can prove that either you're going to get a staircase of 3's and 6's. So say if you had a 3 here, ignore this, we don't deserve that yet, then you have to put a 6 in these two. You know the 3 in this row must have a 6 in its row next to it. So you'd have to put the 3 there. Oh, hang on, no, that doesn't... Hang on, well that's kiboshed my idea of a staircase, actually. Oh, because what I was thinking was, couldn't I do... Am I going crazy? I might be. If I do that, why couldn't I put a 3? Oh, so maybe you can't start with the 3 in the corner, but maybe you could start like this. 6 3 6 3. Now this 3 needs a 6 above or below it. Yeah, you can staircase it. So that would be a 6. This would have to be a 3, because in this row the 3 must be flanked on one side by the 6. The 6 is here, so the 3 must be here or here. Now in this column the 6 must be here by Sudoku. So so you're going to get a pattern of 3's and 6's as a sort of staircase up the grid, and that's going to be a 6. And that, oh no, that does break. That does break then. Because the problem is I have to put a 3 now in row 1. And where do I put it? I can't put it anywhere. Sudoku prevents it. Well, no, I can put it there, but how can this be flanked on both sides by 6? It can't be. So hang on. So it is not a contiguous staircase of 3's and 6's, but every... yeah. Okay, so it's what we had originally. So every... right. Okay, I mean, this is not obvious, is it? Is this obvious? I don't think it's obvious. So what we've learned is the way that we can deal with this. We know that every 3 is going to capture 2 6's next to it. That's going to be forced. And therefore, what we can do is in a 2x2, we could have this arrangement. And this is not staircaseable, because you can see that each of these 3's, it's sort of completed by the 2x2. It's done. This 3 sees 2 digits. This 3 sees 2 digits. But we've maximised the value of these 2 6's because these 2 6's have between them catered for 2 of the 3's. So you could have another one here. You could have 2 3's and 2 6's over there. That doesn't deserve singing either. But right. So what's happening here? Let me try and explain this as I'm starting to see it. It might have been possible, but we've proved it can't be possible, to have a staircase of 3s and 6s doing this sort of thing. But we've discovered that wherever you start the staircase, you get to a row where, I want to say the torus break. You're going to slip a digit to the other side of the torus that can't then benefit from the necessary extreme digits it needs to be next to. So you can't do that. And presumably if we start in the middle, it's going to be an even more terrible experience, isn't it? Because we could do, it's going to get, what happens is this. And then in this row, you're going to have to put the 3 here, because if you do start to put it over there, it can't be next to a 6 in its row. So the best you can do regarding 3s and 6s is to have the 6s up the diagonal. That allows you to place 5 3s, but not the 6th. If you start with a 3 in the middle of the grid, you have an even worse problem. However, we can resolve the problem by maximising the use of 6s in 2x2s. And then we can so we're not relying on staircases to build the necessary pattern. We're just relying on 2 6s across the diagonal with 2 3s, and that absolutely works. The 3s there are fulfilled. The 6s have done their job, and then we can go off to another 2x2 up here and do the same thing. But here's what's interesting me about this idea, is that means we can apply that logic to 4s as well, because 4s have the same property as 3s. They only have one neighbour. So this grid is tiled by 2x2s that are 4s and 1s, sort of like this, 3s and 6s that are sort of like this, and, well, let's ignore that for a moment, and 2s and 5s will have to be the remaining 2x2s, won't they? Because, well, in this example, let's actually use these, because we know there's going to have to be a 2x2 for the 1s and 4s in this row, and there's going to have to be a 2x2 for the 6s and 3s in these rows. You're going to be left with 2s and 5s, and they're going to have to be opposite each other so that we don't break the Sudoku. And you can see that won't work. 2 5s on there won't work. So maybe what we do is colour the grid. So if that one, we don't know what that is, but it's one of these 1 4, 3 6 or 2 5 2x2s, so that's going to be a different one, that's going to be a different one. So these, okay, so those two numbers are the same. Because we know that this is either a purple or a green 2x2. The 2 digits on this diagonal are the same, so these can't be the result of the sum, can they? Because we know 2 digits on this line add to the 3rd digit, so we can't write 0 into any of the cells. So these two are summed together to give this one. And these 2 digits are the same, so these are either 1s, 2s or 3s, and this digit is therefore either a 2, a 4 or a 6. These digits are either double 1, double 2 or double 3. Okay, but how do we... And I know within that one, that will be 2, 4 or 6. But that means these have all the options available to them. They're either going to be 1s, 3s or 5s. But oh, you rotten thing. I was going to say, so we know that this isn't purple. Because what I was thinking was, imagine purple was 6 for a moment. Then we know 6 6s share their 2x2s with 3s. And I was going to say, so we know that this isn't purple because the 3s and the 6s would be the other way round. But that could work, couldn't it? Double 3 would give rise to 6. So how do I know whether this... Sorry. So how do I know whether this is purple or green? I know it's one of them. It's not yellow. Because imagine yellow was, I don't know, 2 and 5. Obviously, all the 5s and 2s have gone from these 2 rows, so you couldn't make this yellow. This is definitely not a yellow 2x2. Yeah, okay, it must be to do... It's to do with the... Yeah, it's to do with the other digit, the digit that's not constrained. Because if you have 3s and 6s together, we know the 3s are dealt with, but the 6s aren't quite dealt with, are they? In the sense that the 6s have met this 6 has met its criteria. It has 2 digits in adjacent cells that are sufficiently different, which means that these 2 digits must not be 1s or 2s, actually. They have to be 4s or 5s. Ah, yeah, okay. So the same is true if we had 2s and 5s in here. They've already met their criteria. So the 5s, these couldn't be 1s. These would have to be from 4 and 6. And the 2s, these couldn't be 6s. So these would have to be from 1s. I want to say 1s, 3s or 4s. Yeah, a difference of at least 3. So what does that mean? So that means that if these were, say, 1s and 4s, this would be a 1. And this digit would have to stay quite low in order to not... Because if this was 5 and 6 or 6, the 1 would be next to 3 bad digits. In other words, this is hard to explain. I mean, this is very difficult to explain. But what we've now worked out is that... Well, what have we worked out? I'm not sure. I'm almost wondering whether I've done the colouring ink in an unhelpful way. Because I think what we're saying... No. What we're saying, actually, this is crucial. I think it is crucial. Now I need to articulate why I think it's crucial. Why do I think this is crucial? I think these 3 digits are from the same highness or lowness, is what I'm going to claim. And if that's true, the only way this will work is if this is a 2 and this is a 1. But I need to justify that. So let me try to justify it. The way I'm seeing it is that... yeah, let me try and explain. So certainly this is true at the moment, isn't it? In fact, I can do it by an exhaustive test, and this might be the most convincing way of doing it. The way I'm seeing it is slightly different, but it's harder to generalize. But let me just explain what I mean. If this is a 6, we know that this will be a 6-3 domino, a 6-3 2x2, which means this 6 has already seen the 2 digits that are sufficiently different from it, which means this digit, and for that matter, this digit, have to be quite close to this digit. They can't be 3 different. So what are they going to be? These 2 digits are going to be from 4 and 5, aren't they? But now think about this digit. What's the nature of this digit, which has already met its criteria now? If this is 5, it's surrounded by double 2. If this is 4, it's surrounded by double 1 in the yellow, which means that this digit must be sufficiently close to this digit that it is not 3 different from it. Now, it's still a little bit tricky, this, because you do need to think it through, because actually you're going to have to think about these 2 digits as well. Because you may say, well, obviously if this is 5, this can't be 2, because this is going to be a 5-2 pair. And it certainly can't be 1, because it would be 2 different. But why couldn't this be 3 and these be 6s if this is 5? Well, the reason, of course, is that, not of course, but it's difficult to see. This is 2 and this would be 6. And 2 and 6 are more than 3 different. So the 6 here would be flanked by 3 digits that were 2 different from it, whereas it should be only flanked by 2 digits that are exactly 3 different, or more than 3 digits different, if you see what I mean. It shouldn't be flanked by 3, it should only be flanked by 2. And similarly, if we go back here, I mean, if this is 4, let's do it exhaustively. If this is 4, we've obviously got 4s, 1s and 1s here, and we have to make a decision about what this digit is. But we know these 2 digits are the same, so we know we're in 3-6 land again. And these are going to be too far apart. So you have to think it through quite deeply. Yeah, it's tricky. Well, and all of which is saying this isn't 6, which means these aren't 3s. Now, if this was 4, on the other hand, I think we're going to run into the same problem. Because we're going to have to make it, we know that these are going to be 2s and 5s now, because that's how the maths is going to work. Now, you can see that this is now made up of 3s and 6s. If we put the 6 here, let's be careful. Oh no, hang on. Well, no, the 6 clearly can't work there. What are you talking about, you silly man? You can't put the 6 here, because it would be next to 1, and you can't put the 6 here because it would be next to 2. And remember, yeah, it's very hard, and I do apologise if I'm not making the most brilliant job of articulating this clearly. But I think one thing that will help if you're struggling to understand what's going on, it is to remember this. Every one of the 2x2s that we've explained must exist in this puzzle. So they're all either 1s and 4s, 2s and 5s, or 3s and 6s. Each one of those is a self-contained and self-fulfilled unit, in which every digit within that unit is perfectly complete regarding this every 2 neighbour, or exactly 2 orthogonal neighbours that are at least 3 different from it. So every other cell orthogonally adjacent to any digit in any of these 2x2s must be close to it. It must be. And you can see that this arrangement here is going to force this to be 3 and 6, and you can't put the 6 anywhere, because here is no good, it's next to a 2, and here is no good, it's next to a 1. That might be the best way of explaining it. So what that leaves us with is these are 2s and these are 1s, which means these are 3s. And the 3s are going to have to go like that. And that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight losing its religion. How do we know the 3s go like this? Because if this was 6, it would be contributing an extra difference to these. And this puzzle might fill in, actually. I mean, it's brilliant. It's quite brilliant. But it is not 2 stars. It's just not. Are people... I mean, what is going on? Are we going to get... Yeah, we are, aren't we? It's... I mean, how did you come up with this, Michael? So we know that these are 2s and 5s. And we know we can't put the 5s next to the 1s or we'll create too many extra differences. So we've got to go 5, double 2. We're going to have to go 2s, double 5s. We're going to have to go, we know yellow is 3s and 6s, so the 6s are going to have to go next to the 5s, and the 6s are going to have to go next to the 5s. Let's leave the 3 in the corner to last, and this is going to have to be 4s here, and 1s here, and that's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. What? That's brilliant. I mean, I don't know what is correct. That is a remarkably interesting puzzle, which is completely meta, isn't it? You can't start that. You can't do anything with it until you understand the constraints that are operating. And let's just think through the way to arrive at the solution to this puzzle efficiently is to firstly consider the difficulty of 3s and 4s, and then to understand that staircasing is impossible. So we're left with 2x2s for 3s and 4s, which forces the remaining 2x2s to be 2s and 5s. But that is not enough. You then have to think about how you don't generate extra big differences in the puzzle. And then the line does all the heavy lifting. That line is the equivalent of the Greek god Atlas. It is holding everything up and sorting out the entire puzzle. Breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.